The glass tower of Meridian Tech gleamed against the night sky. But inside, the executive floor was nearly empty. Marcus Hayes pushed his cleaning cart past the CEO's office, the wheels squeaking softly on the marble floor. At 11:47 p.m., he was usually alone up here, just him, his thoughts, and the weight of being a single father to his 8-year-old son. He heard the thud before he saw anything. Marcus rushed toward the sound. Through the glass wall of the conference room, he saw her. Victoria Chen, the company's CEO, collapsed on the floor. Her hand clutched her chest, her face pale and twisted in pain. "Ms. Chen?" Marcus burst through the door, his phone already in hand dialing 911. He knelt beside her, his janitor's training kicking in as he checked her pulse. Weak, but there. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and desperate. She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "Please." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Don't let them take my son. The ambulance is coming." "You're going to be fine," Marcus said, but her grip tightened. "No, you don't understand." She was fighting to stay conscious. "My brother-in-law, Richard. He's trying to get custody of Jason. If something happens to me tonight, the court hearing is tomorrow morning at 9. You have to get Jason there. Promise me." Marcus felt her desperation. He knew what it meant to fight for your child. "I promise. But you're going to be there yourself." Her hand went limp as sirens wailed in the distance. At the hospital, Marcus learned Victoria had suffered a severe cardiac episode. She was stable but sedated, unable to attend the custody hearing. A nurse handed him Victoria's phone. She'd asked for him, specifically before the sedatives took effect. Marcus stared at the locked screen, then at the business card the nurse had given him with a passcode written on the back. This was insane. He was a janitor who barely made rent, but he'd made a promise to a mother fighting to keep her son. At 6 a.m., Marcus stood outside a mansion in the suburbs, Victoria's phone in his pocket and her attorney's number already dialed. The gate opened, and an older woman, the housekeeper, met him with a confused expression. "Ms. Chen sent me," Marcus explained quickly. "There's a custody hearing at 9. Jason needs to be there." The housekeeper's eyes widened with understanding and relief. "Richard's lawyers have been calling all morning. They think she won't show." She hurried him inside. "Jason's upstairs. He doesn't know yet about his mother." Jason Chen was 7 years old with his mother's determined eyes. When Marcus entered his room, the boy was already dressed, clutching a backpack. "Are you taking me to Mom?" Jason asked. Marcus knelt down to his level. "Your mom had to go to the hospital last night, but she's going to be okay. She asked me to make sure you get to court today. It's really important. Because of Uncle Richard." Jason's voice was flat, older than his years. "He wants to take me away because he says Mom works too much." The drive downtown was quiet. Marcus called his own son, explaining he'd be late picking him up from the neighbors. Then he called Victoria's attorney, a sharp woman named Ellen Park who met them at the courthouse steps. "Who are you?" Ellen demanded. "Someone who made a promise." Marcus handed her Victoria's phone. "Everything you need should be in here. Messages, emails, proof of Richard's real intentions." Ellen's eyebrows rose as she scrolled. "He's been planning this for months, trying to gain control of her company shares through Jason." She looked at Marcus with new respect. "She trusted you with this?" "She trusted me with her son." Inside the courtroom, Richard Chen sat with his expensive lawyers, confident and smug. His expression changed when Jason walked in holding Marcus's hand. The hearing was brutal. Richard's team painted Victoria as an absent workaholic, but Ellen countered with emails. Marcus had helped her find messages showing Richard's manipulation, his attempts to turn Jason against his mother, his financial motivations. When the judge asked Jason who he wanted to live with, the boy stood up. "My mom. She works hard so we can have a good life. Uncle Richard just wants her money." The judge called a recess. Marcus waited in the hallway, Jason leaning against him, both exhausted. His phone buzzed. The hospital. Victoria was awake and asking about her son. "Tell her he's perfect," Marcus said. "Tell her he's right here and he's staying with her." When court resumed, the judge denied Richard's petition. Full custody remained with Victoria, with a note in the record about Richard's questionable motives. Jason ran to Marcus, hugging him tight. "You kept your promise," the boy whispered. 2 weeks later, Marcus was cleaning the executive floor when Victoria's assistant approached him. "Miss Chen would like to see you in her office." Victoria looked tired but healthy, sitting at her desk with Jason doing homework on her couch. She stood when Marcus entered. "I don't know how to thank you," she began. "You saved my life and then you saved my son." Marcus shook his head. "I just did what any parent would do." "No." Victoria's voice was firm. "You went far beyond that." She handed him an envelope. "I'm creating a new position, Director of Facilities Management, with a salary that reflects its importance. I want you to lead it." Marcus stared at the offer letter, his hands trembling. The salary was 4 times what he made now. "There's more," Victoria continued. "The company is launching a scholarship program for employees' children. Your son will have his education fully funded through college." Marcus felt tears threatening. "Miss Chen, Victoria, please." She smiled warmly. 6 months passed like a dream Marcus was afraid to wake from. His son Tyler now attended the same private school as Jason. The boys had become inseparable friends. Marcus's new position had given him not just financial stability, but respect and purpose he'd never imagined possible. One evening, as Marcus prepared to leave the office, Victoria called him one last time. "I wanted you to know," she said, holding up a legal document, "I've updated my will. If anything ever happens to me, you're named as Jason's guardian." Marcus was stunned. "Victoria, That's an enormous responsibility." "I know exactly what it is." Her eyes were steady and sure. "That night when I was lying on that floor, I didn't ask you to save me. I asked you to save my son. And you did, without hesitation, without expecting anything in return. That's the kind of person I want raising Jason if I can't." Marcus felt the weight of her trust, the same weight he'd felt that midnight when he made his promise. "I'm honored, truly." "You've already proven yourself," Victoria said simply. "Now go home to your son. Both our boys have homework, I'm sure." As Marcus drove home that night, Tyler asleep in the back seat after a playdate with Jason, he thought about how one moment can change everything. A woman collapsing, a desperate plea, a promise made in the dark. He'd walked into that conference room as a janitor just trying to survive. He'd walked out as someone who mattered, not because of a title or salary, but because he'd proven that character transcends circumstances. The city lights blurred past his window and Marcus Hayes smiled. He'd kept his promise that midnight. And in doing so, he'd discovered that sometimes the greatest rewards come not from what we gain, but from what we give when no one expects us to give anything at all. His phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "Thank you for everything, Marcus. You gave us both a second chance." Marcus typed back simply, "We gave each other one." And as he pulled into his driveway, carrying his sleeping son inside their modest but now secure home, Marcus Hayes knew that this was the true end of the story. Not in grand gestures or dramatic moments, but in the quiet peace of a promise kept and a life transformed. The end.